All right, folks, we are here with another episode of the Outdoor Report podcast, and it's been a little busy couple of weeks. What I did is before Christmas, I went up to Bemidji for my full-time job, and while I was up there, I hooked up with the BREUERS, and the BREUERS, they're an awesome family. They're really cool people. I like them a lot. They're just good people, you know? You come across people that they're just good. Or at least that's my perception. They're down to earth. They're real people. I love chatting with both Matt and Nikki. Nikki's hilarious. Nikki did not want to do this podcast at all. She had no desire. So we kind of pressured her into a little bit, and I thank you, Nikki, and I apologize to you as well. But I appreciate your discussion. I value your words and your thoughts and what you're about when it comes to getting the outdoors, and I think others will too. So I know you didn't want to do it, but we did it, and I think it turned out pretty well. And there's some good chuckles in there too. Matt Brewer, you'll see all over the place. He's the owner of North Country Guide Service and Promotions. He's on the clam team, ice team. I mean, just Google Matthew Brewer, and you'll find all sorts of stuff that he's written. Matt's a phenomenal writer. I mean, he's been published in many magazines and articles. And I mean, Outdoors Weekly is the one that comes to mind right away, but there's might be dozens more. So Google Matthew Brewer, and you'll see a lot of his work and what he's done. He's been on Minnesota Bound and Jason Mitchell and countless other TV programs, including the Outdoor Report. As actually, both Matt, Nikki, and the kids have been in the Outdoor Report, so they've been involved with us, and we're appreciative for all they've done for us on that end of it. And I wanted to get with them and just kind of pick their brain a little bit of, how he got Nikki, his wife, into hunting and fishing, and how he got his kids into hunting and fishing, and just, from my perception looking in, they do a great job of just going outside and getting outdoors and enjoying the outdoors. So I wanted to get with them, talk with them a little bit. I apologize, we had this discussion before Christmas, and I have not made time to get this thing wrapped up, finished up, and shoveled out the door. So we had a good conversation with Matt and Nikki and their two kids, Tate and Nora. So I hope you enjoy it. Before we get to that, I do need to say thank you, as always, to Artistic Taxidermy for helping support this podcast. Very appreciative to Josh from Artistic Taxidermy. Here's Josh with the tip while you're out ice fishing this winter.
Hey, it's Josh Lynn of Artistic Taxidermy with your tip of the week. Ice fishing season is upon us. One thing I like to keep in my ice fishing bucket is a roll of saran wrap. It takes up very little space, and if I'm lucky enough to catch that trophy fish, it works great to wrap it tight from nose to tail, protecting the fins and skin, ensuring a specimen that is in great shape. I'm Joshua Lynn of Artistic Taxidermy. Like us on Facebook at Artistic Taxidermy in Detroit Lakes.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you very much. And we will jump into our conversation with the BREUERS.
And then I talked to Sam, and she's like, well, that was your first mistake going with Matt. Why didn't you call me?
It's true. Maybe.
Probably. You didn't go with me, though. You took Tate.
Yeah, but we all went. It was just... I sat with Tate.
We had plenty of luck, right, Toots?
No, you guys just got lucky. Because I don't know how to call.
So all the birds were roosted by her?
Yeah.
And she's sitting there calling, and they don't do anything. And we call from like 150 yards away, and they gobble at me.
They're calling to you, and so how close are you to them?
Oh, I watched him.
25, 30 yards.
This is last year turkey? Yeah. So
in
you're getting
that spot you went back to?
Yeah.
She was set up by the fence.
What?
By the gate.
Where you had that camera, or that other spot where I showed you where I goofed up?
Where you goofed up.
Way back. So
gate.
The gate, you go past it. Yep.
Yeah, so she was on one side of the gate, and they were strutting on the other side of the gate.
Sure.
And so Tate got his first turkey there, purple there. And you and I weren't that far from there, and Nora got hers not far from there. There's a lot of birds.
There's a lot of birds there.
And now I locked in that farm.
Yep.
You and I, when we were driving around down there.
Oh, that you still
guy?
yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him again, and I'm the
It's
one
all
with
good.
permission.
That's awesome. It's a good spot. I felt a little sheepish going back to hunt, but I didn't have anyone with me, so that was my reasoning.
I gave you crap.
My goal, I was hoping that I could take one on. Well, I wasn't going to go on private. I wouldn't do that. But my goal was to shoot one on the public, and I wanted to go walk in front of your camera. then you did it, and that'd be like you'd be like that little. Bit, hey, what's up? Yeah, I just got one. It's a good spot over here. That didn't work.
Funny. Camera hunting for turkeys, I think is highly underutilized. I mean, we make like a couple family days of it. We go down, talk to the farmers, set our cameras. And we go back like a week or two later, and go back again a week or two later. Check the cards, and you kind of have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Yep.
I mean, obviously you can't see everything, but
They're all over there, which is nice. I mean, you
Yeah.
had them on every parts of the property.
yeah.
Is that where you're close? You're gonna go put your ice house and camp?
Well, it's a few miles from there. I think it's 6 miles from like where I had my camera.
Sure.
It's about 6 miles from that spot.
Yep.
Where you and I called the one in and just didn't have it on video.
Yep.
Or couldn't get it on video.
The one that evaded us.
Yeah. Where I was like, can I pull the trigger? Can I pull the trigger? And you're like,
Yeah.
I can't see it. I can't see it. That one, as a crow flies, it's that where we're going to have our fish house is only 2 miles from there.
Yep.
So nice and close.
Sure.
And we'll just keep some food there and have a toilet there instead of having to run to
That'd be
Park
slick.
Rapids or whatever.
Yep. All right. Well, I have it recording.
Oh.
It was like that? Smooth like that? All right, folks. We made it. We're up in the Northland, and I'm cameraman Wes, and it's the Outdoor Port Podcast, and we're at the Brewer household, and we got Nikki. She's sprawled out on a heater next to we're in a kitchen table, and she's laying on a heater, look kind of in her domain, and her husband Matt and their kids Nora and Tate, and we're hanging out at their house. They invited me over, and we're chit-chatting, and our goal today is to talk about getting family involved in the outdoors and how the brewers have done it. But first, before we get into that, I do want to touch a little bit on ice and the way that the ice has treated the world in Minnesota this year. What's the scoop? What is it? Is this normal to have this much different accidents of falling through, or have you seen it like this before?
I haven't. And I know you've mentioned in years past where you're like, you got to let me know where you're going. Because what if something happens? And I've always kind of said, well, jokingly, like, I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. But this year, if I'm going, she's going to know where I'm at because things are odd and sketchy. I mean, I've been lucky where I've been. There's been good ice on all the lakes I've been on. And it's been uniform ice. And we drill a lot of holes, so I know it's uniform. But like Grace Lake, where this accident happened in Bemidji most recently, and a young girl passed away, there was basically like a football field size area of open water, and most of the rest of the lake had 12 inches of ice. So very strange. You know, I've never seen it like this up here.
Yeah.
Weather's so different.
And we don't need to go into I don't know if you knew the people personally on your end, or and I don't. Jason did.
Yeah.
Right.
Jason worked with the gal, and you know, he had a tough time with it, and he still is, I think. But he said, I left work at 4:30 or 4:15 on Friday, and said bye to her, and have a nice weekend, and all of a sudden she's not. You know.
Wow.
It's a tough deal.
So, like, I was talking to the guy, and he mentioned that this is every year, but he's like, you're just hearing about it more, or it's people have died rather than just falling through and gotten out. So have you heard that other years where there's just people breaking through as much, or is it the false sense of security of having like an early winter start and then it warming up and then it going back?
Well, it does happen every year. I mean, we see stuff every year.
Right.
A lot of it, though, I mean, a lot of it typically Brainerd and south, you know?
Right.
And we'll always have somebody go through on Bemidji. It happens every year. Somebody gets antsy and they drive out, but they're usually like at the access or you know, some yahoo's trying to skip his snowmobile across the river mouth or something.
Right, where there's just
Yeah.
plain stupidity.
But this year is different. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I feel like I'm pretty aware of everything around the state that's going on. You can't track all of it, obviously, but
Yep.
this year it definitely is, and maybe because it's closer to home. I mean, we usually don't see it on
Right.
lakes around here, you know. I don't know. There's definitely sketchy spots, and even early ice when we went out, I mean, we knew where the bad spots were, so we stayed away from them. But you know, if a person didn't know where those spots were, like one lake we fished has there's like a kind of a beaver trickle, and we've known about it for 20 years. There's been a beaver back there that we've never touched.
Yep.
Or a family of them, and we just know that there's always going to be that spot, and we have to stay away from it. But the sport is growing too. There's more people venturing out, and the newer people maybe have less knowledge.
I know up here for me, when I've come up, like even last night, like Mike didn't go out who I was supposed to go with, and I'm like, oh, I should go to a spot. But I don't have any desire to go to a lake that I don't know and even start, unless there's tracks to follow, and then you're pretty much just fishing on somebody, you know, trying to. But should there be like a new norm for getting? Well, how do you go about when you are going on a lake, early ice, that you aren't aware of? What's your system for checking?
Well, I try not to hit new stuff early ice. It's kind of a catch-22, because the best time to try a new lake is early ice when the fish are really snapping. But adversely, I don't know if there's springs. I don't know, I don't know what the ice conditions are like on a normal year.
Yep.
So I try not to try new stuff until midwinter, and then you feel a little safer. But I'm always spud bar. I've got a nebulous I can throw in my sled that's with me. I've got one on my snowmobile. I've got
What's a nebulous?
Nebulous flotation device. Pull cord.
Okay.
Raft opens, and it can hold my side by side. It can hold my sled. Save me a lot of money and save my life. But instead of my sled sinking all the way to the bottom, it'll just suspend 5-6 feet below that nebulous flotation device. So, and then I can crawl on top and wait for help.
Yep.
So I've got that, or life jackets, ice picks. Ice picks have to be with you.
I just put them in my pocket this year, even throughout the rest of the year, whether I don't have them on my neck, but if something happens, at least you could throw them to someone.
Yeah.
And you got them ready.
Right.
Same with early ice I'll do the life jacket, but I put the orange square thing in the fish house, or just the one man's or the two man's.
Yeah.
Just something to throw.
Yeah. A throwable is a great idea. And I think awareness is so low too, like something that works similar to an ice pick, not as good, but if you don't have ice picks and you happen to go through, if you put your wet glove on top of the ice and just wait a second, it'll freeze, and then you can use that as leverage. There's all sorts of things that people just probably never think of or don't realize, and they're things that you need to really grain into your brain and know, this is how I get out if something happens. But use a buddy system. I mean, like you're saying, don't go out alone if you don't know the lake.
Should there be like a new norm or standard for people that are testing lakes to even go more than what we're doing now?
I don't know. I don't even know what the new norm is. I mean, if we're talking weather, there really is no normal anymore. It's not like when I was a kid and it snowed every year on the same date, and then the ice fishing started on the same date every year. It isn't like that anymore.
I think the biggest perception I have is, for me, I always thought you seen like a house on the ice down in St. Cloud area. Up here, it's golden.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case.
No,
Every lake is different.
yeah. One of our favorite little bluegill lakes. I've gone out there when it was like 10 below, mid-January. Every lake people are driving on. And I've gone out there and there's a spring that's so active that it keeps water in that spot open.
Yep.
And we just know we can't go there.
Yep.
But somebody tried that lake new and just happened to have a skim on it and fresh snow. Recipe for disasters.
Yeah. Does ice freak you out, Nikki? Does it bother you at all?
And early ice, yeah. Absolutely.
When you're out and about, will you sleep overnight in houses? Do you guys do much like overnight sleeping, or going out,
We
or
haven't. For,
We used to.
yeah.
what is it, NASA?
My houses are too full. We never get to sleep.
Right.
Sure.
We hardly ever get to use them. But
The first couple times on the ice, the windows are always open.
yeah.
Yep.
Window. So there's a couple of precautions
Yes.
taking place.
Undo your seatbelts. Roll down the windows.
Even midwinter, when I've been driving clients out for a month, if we have the kids with us, we still make them unbuckle, and a lot of times they'll jump up in the front seat.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care about my life nearly as much as theirs, so I want to make sure that they're safe before me.
I know, like for Jess, so we got a house, and I'm trying to get her out to go ice fishing, but she's really scared of the ice, especially like the cracking, the noise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the best way is to lessen the fear. Once it, for me, I'm waiting till like it's 15 inches, till I know if something happened. I was waiting. I'd hate to be the one that, I think we can do it. So do you have any advice to try to lessen the fear of a new person to go on the ice, like my wife?
I remember looking you in the eye once and saying, you were like, "Oh, I don't like the cracking," and I said, "Cracking is good.
It's making ice.
It's making ice." So the popping,
Why does it crack?
Because it's expanding.
It's going back and forth.
Well,
But that's where you can get pressure ridges right then, too.
you can, yep. Yeah, but essentially when it's making noise, for the most part, it's growing.
Yep.
It's expanding. There can be bad things about that, like you said, pressure ridges, you can have stuff pop open, but for the most part, that popping sound is ice growing, so it's usually a good sign, not a bad sign.
Yep.
If it were if I were sleeping overnight in a fish house and if there were no noise, that's when I would get concerned.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Just because it's not. Yeah.
It's not normal. I mean, I've slept on the ice hundreds of times, and
Yep.
it always is popping.
Hear that, Jess? If you're listening, which you probably aren't, but popping is good. We want noise. We want stuff that kind of puts you on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to hear booms, but I guess it's part of the experience too. I mean, people come up and they're like, "Oh, that noise freaked me out," and it's like, yeah, it's part of the experience. Listen to the middle of the night, ice cracking, look out, and I don't know. There's nothing like looking outside in the middle of the night in the winter.
What do you think on the media end that is the right path when ice first comes out to try and you want to start, everyone's anxious, they're excited to start talking about it and get the ball rolling, and with Eric and on some of the threads that we've talked about, there's like you start and stop, don't talk about it, because you just don't want to have the perception that the ice is safe. Can you put that on the media? Is it? I mean,
we really struggled with it this year as a collective, North Country. I tried to touch base with everybody and how do we approach this, because we have 8 different outlets that are looking for ice reports and fishing reports, and we got clients calling looking for reports. How do we, we're out on the ice crushing fish, and do we tell people that we're doing that, or do we wait? With clients, obviously, we're super honest because it's a candid conversation on the phone. But when you put something online, it can be taken the wrong way. Like if I say, oh, we're out on a 400-acre lake, we had 9 inches of ice, we absolutely crushed the bluegills and crappies. If someone looks at a map and they're like, oh, that lake's 400 acres, and they go there, and they could easily blame it on us, but that lake could be loaded with beaver, or could have tons of tulipies, or a lot of springs, or whatever, anything that can keep water moving. It could have a creek that runs through it. And so there's a really fine line there on whether you promote it hard or you don't. So I guess you just try to educate and tell people no ice is safe. I mean,
Right.
I saw something on Facebook it's like a couple weeks ago, and if this guy's listening and he gets upset, I guess he gets upset, but
We're sorry. We're not here to offend.
no, but there was something on Facebook and somebody was like, is anybody else sick of hearing the term no ice is safe ice? And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard someone say.
Right. Yeah.
Like, how would you get sick of hearing that? Like, look at how many people have died and proven that fact. Let's keep that going.
Yeah.
So people know.
A false sense of security isn't a bad thing.
Right. So.
Yeah. Well, that's enough when we talk about ice, but whoever's listening, just be extra careful. Try to take extra steps if you can, and let others know too what maybe they can do to help ensure that they're safe. We don't want anyone falling through. That doesn't sound like fun. So on the topic of trying to get family involved in the outdoors, I look to your family as, in my eyes, as a good example of places to maybe get insight from, or to kind of lead by example of how you guys went about getting into the outdoors. And I'm kind of curious, Nikki, on your end, how did you get into the outdoor world, and what kind of struck you to want to?
Well, from day one when I met Matt, I always went grouse hunting with him, and we went on drives all the time. And
Did you hunt or do anything growing up?
no.
Nothing?
No.
There was no exposure to it at all growing up or anything on that end of it?
Nope.
Fishing at all? Hunting or fishing?
Fishing a handful of times maybe.
Okay. But
No hunting.
not like Matt fishing?
No.
The complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Correct.
Sure. So you met, when did you guys meet? How many years ago?
17 and a half
That we've been together. Yeah.
when we met, yes.
So that's when you were first exposed to, about 17 years ago.
Yes.
So you met Matt, give me a little bit of chronological timeline of events of kind of so you met him, you realize, all right, this guy really must like the outdoors or something. He might have a small problem.
Well, I liked being outside. I always liked being outside. So we met in the spring. And so then it started with fishing. And then we moved to your parents' place and lived on the lake and fished quite a bit.
What was your favorite thing on the fishing end of it? Was it something to do together, or you enjoyed catching fish?
Getting a tan.
Yeah.
That's legit. That's
At
always a good
first-
feeling.
at
Some
first,
vitamin D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd take the pontoon out and
Yep.
she'd be in her bikini and I'd sit and catch fish and she'd go, oh, a nice one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then eventually you started fishing with me a little bit.
Right.
But if you back it up, like we started dating in the spring and I fish a little. And then fall comes around and you're like, whoa, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Right, because if it was during the spring and summer, you're not really hunting much.
Right.
It's just like, oh, this is a fishing guy. Hey, he likes to fish. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then fall came and you're gone.
Every day.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think your dad was still hunting with you quite a bit.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wasn't going that often.
But we'd go, I think our biggest bond I don't want to take away from your story, but I think our biggest bond is like I have very fond memories of when we were dating and we'd go scouting.
Sure.
So like we'd go scouting for ducks or geese or deer a lot. We'd go drive around and look for deer and, you know, get out and walk trails once in a while, or she'd go grouse hunting with me or pheasant hunting when we'd go to southern Minnesota, and just a lot of driving around, and some of our best conversations happened then. And now that we have kids, it's kind of back to that. Like some of our best conversations are when we're in the truck scouting or hunting together, and they're not.
Sure. What would you say is your passion right now? Hunting, fishing? Do you have a preference?
Deer hunting.
Deer hunting?
Mm-hmm.
So when did that drive, or did you start off, met each other, enjoyed fishing together, hanging out, doing the scouting stuff, and then at what point you're like, did that come from you, Nikki, wanting to do more with Matt and like take more of an interest, or did that come from Matt saying, come on, you gotta come with him, you gotta do this? Was there any pressure?
No. The thing that finalized it for me was the year before I actually hunted myself. You and I hunted together. I sat with you in the stand and actually got to watch everything go down. And I remember after you got that one, I said, I need to do that next year. And it's something I've got to do by myself, and I think that's part of why I enjoy it. Being by myself.
That's the reason I think a lot of us enjoy it.
Yeah, the solitude of it.
For me, just I mean, it's always fun to enjoy a hunt with somebody, but there's the enjoyment of sitting with nobody and just your own thoughts. That's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she kind of got spoiled. I mean, I remember asking you, like, I'm sitting in the box stand tonight. Do you want to come with? We were hunting my brother's property, so private land, and you know he's got food plots and in a nice heated box stand. And do you want to come sit with me? And she's like, sure. And she sits with me, and we had like 17 deer come out or something, and this little buck comes out and it's chasing a doe hot. And I'm like, well, she's with me. I'm gonna shoot this deer. It might be the only time she ever comes with.
Yep.
And this buck starts chasing this doe like almost out of the field, and I'm like, well, better shoot it now. So I shot, and so she got the full experience of like, you know, deer camp, like you know, private land deer camp, which is kind of a spoiling experience, you know. But now she's grown into everything else. But
it's interesting. It's cool to hear that too, that you have that relationship. I was listening to, I don't know if you listened to Steven Ranella, the meat eater,
Oh, yeah.
but he just had a gal on there talking about getting females involved, and there's the old stereotypical deer shack that has the sign on there, no girls allowed, and how some people still have that mindset, but I feel that a lot more people are starting to become more inclusive than exclusive, which on your end it sounds like you, from the get-go, you didn't have that mindset.
no, I grew up, and the first mount I remember my family having was a buck my mom shot in like the 70s. So, I mean, my mom, she had a bigger buck than my dad on the wall growing up, and now my wife has a bigger buck than I do on the wall. So, my sister deer hunted. She still deer hunts. She went to North Dakota on a mule deer hunt, archery this year. I mean, my family has always been, if someone can get a tag,
Yep.
I don't care what they look like, they're gonna get a tag.
So you got the biggest buck on the wall right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Tate or Nora, which one of you is going to beat that first?
Me.
Me.
Wait, what about me?
You'll be putting him on the deer.
Oh, that's my job.
Or
Yeah.
Nikki will.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So, at what point, so you went out together, you saw him shoot it, and then you wanted to go do it. Did you do it yourself then that next year? By yourself?
Yes. I've won, every year.
Is there any tips that you have, I guess, on the deer hunting side of it, on somebody that wants to go do it themselves? that you can offer on the female perspective of just what you're getting into stuff to... Was there any preparation that you had to be ready for? Did Matt help you figure it all out?
Wes, he doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get to.
He puts the blind up for me and gets my gun out of the safe. But I shoot him, I drag him, I got him.
You got him, yeah.
I skin him.
She does, yeah. She does it all. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't scout a little bit.
Just a little, I bet.
I may know where a deer or two live, so she may have that advantage, but...
So now, flip side, so that's deer hunting, all right? So then turkey hunting, I know a little bit of the backstory on the turkey hunting side of it. How was getting into turkey hunting different from getting into deer hunting?
You don't want to talk about us together. Like, these should be separate interviews, because
Right.
we'll start a domestic if we start talking about turkey hunting together.
So, but that's what's interesting. Deer hunting, it seems like it's just like, it was like magical. You know, you meet, you fall in love, you share each other's interests now, and she's getting into it. So then you get so far, and now you're trying something else on the same lines of hunting. But it was hard, and I don't want to take your story, but it was hard for you to learn from Matt, correct?
Correct.
Why was that? You gotta let her speak. There's no, if there's a domestic, I'll be the moderator, right? If you need to sit by me, Nikki, we can go across the table. Why is that?
I think getting instructions from a male is, well, it is a lot different and a lot harder. Like, they don't understand what you're saying. You can't hold the gun the way they can hold the gun. Everything is just different for a female.
Did you feel that way when it was deer hunting? Like when you're after the first year and you're doing it yourself? Did you feel that way deer hunting as you did towards turkey?
Well, I didn't let him come with me. I
Or is
went
it-
by myself.
Or was it at that point where it's like you already had enough hunting knowledge that you're like, just let me do it?
Oh, I didn't have enough knowledge, but I just wanted to do it myself.
Sure.
Don't come with me. Don't talk to me. Just let me do it.
And that's got to be tough for you. I know it'd be tough. Like, you know, I'm kind of in the same position trying to get Jess involved with stuff. I'd want to be there like, no, this is how you know. But you're being the director, which I can see where it's like, no, just shh, stop it. How did you handle it?
Well, I think the reason she wanted to go by herself is because, so after we deer hunted together, she started to show some more interest, and I think we went grouse hunting that fall, and me trying to give her instruction, like, the grouse is right there, I can't see it, and I'm like, you know, you get into a lover's quarrel in the woods, and this grouse is standing there like, you guys are idiots, I'm out of here, you know. And so I think by the time deer hunting rolled around, she's like, I'm sick of us arguing about how to do things. I'm doing it myself.
Yep.
I think that's how it came about. Because she didn't want, and you shouldn't say men in general. I think it's husband and wife, because we're too close. So, like, if you were just some random girl that I was trying to mentor, I would handle things a lot differently, but you're my wife, so I can be like, I can nudge you in the shoulder and be like, pull a trigger. Whereas
You're more tougher, I guess, or you're more direct in a what sense, whereas sometimes with somebody that you don't know, you're more ease into it, or you're just kind of a different approach.
yeah, like, you know, there would be a pull the trigger when you're ready if you're mentoring someone. Whereas with my wife, I'm like, pull a trigger, idiot.
I love you.
Not to that extent, but you know what I mean. It's a lot more direct. So, I don't know. I think it's different. Husband and wife, or boyfriend girlfriend, or than, like, I don't want you to make it sound like men can't teach women. It's I think it's hard. Like, if she was trying to teach me something, she would get frustrated if I wasn't doing it correctly. Like, she won't let me fold clothes anymore. But maybe some other lady would let me fold clothes. It's it's different.
I see where this could be the slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
So then on the turkey hunting side of it, you learned from, and the reason I know this is we went on a turkey hunt together with Nikki and Sam and Sarah. And that was your first turkey hunt, and we were able to film it. And if you're listening to this right now, if you look at your phone on Facebook or YouTube, we'll show Nikki's hunt, just the visual side of that hunt. But you guys were on this hunt, and Sam mentored you.
Right.
How was that mentoring compared to the mentoring you got from Matt?
If I could marry Sam, I would.
Yeah.
She was
It's
awesome.
legal. I think it's legal, technically.
I bet you can fold laundry too.
Sam just, I don't know. I never met the chick. I go down there, stay with her. We wake up and go turkey hunting. And, I mean, she has experience mentoring too, I suppose. So that helps. But, yeah, she didn't make me feel like an idiot. She didn't make me feel nervous. I don't know. Everything was just perfect.
So you got deer, turkey. What else do you hunt?
Grouse, woodcock.
Out of everything, deer is your passion.
Yes.
That's the humdinger.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Bear, pheasant,
Bear.
ducks,
yeah.
geese.
Kind of dabble with it as the seasons changes. Kind of. Do you guys do a lot of everything together? Like
No.
when it comes to pheasant or pheasant or the grouse is.
Pheasant we do together, and that works. We don't quarrel.
It's funny he's got a dog to watch,
Yeah.
which I think helps because that's the interest. You're not so much concerned about
Yeah.
doing if she misses or you miss whatever. It's watching the dog, which it maybe takes off the.
Yeah, it's like a kid of ours, so we get to enjoy that experience of watching him and being proud together of him. And some of that happens with grouse and woodcock hunting too, but you mostly grouse and woodcock hunt alone. We go together sometimes.
Right.
She does it when I'm at work, and then she'll text me a picture when I'm at work, like, look what I shot tonight. And I'm like, thanks, jerk.
Yeah.
Good job. Bear hunting we did together, and that worked very well, I thought.
Did you like bear hunting?
I did. I still prefer deer.
Sure. Would you go bear hunting again?
Yes, for sure.
That's one thing that I just don't have the interest to go do. Don't know why. I've been with you filming.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. But within me, I just, like if someone offered, hey, you want to come bear hunting? I don't know if I do. I would. And I don't know why.
Everyone
Just a personal preference.
Everyone has that thing, like,
Yeah. I'd go on another hunt in a heartbeat.
yeah.
Heck yeah. I loved filming it. That was fun.
Yeah.
Do that again.
See, and to me, that was a weird moment for me. Like, she harvested that bear, I let it sink in, and then I asked the question, like, how cool was that? Or how did that compare to deer? And on the totem pole of things I hunt, deer is, like, at the bottom.
Sure.
Like, ever since I was born, I've looked at deer as their meat.
Yep.
Like that's what we live on for the year. You know, it's like if you're a farmer and you have cows, like we slaughter a cow and that's what we eat for the year. So I guess that's how I've looked at deer, and I understand everybody's obsession with it. I do. But I find other things way more challenging, way more rewarding. So when she told me she still preferred deer after harvesting a black bear,
Yep.
you know, a black ghost of Minnesota,
Right.
and she's like, nah, I'd rather deer hunt. And I'm like, I saw 78 deer today. How many bears have you seen this year? It was weird for me, but it's different strokes for different folks. I mean, some people want to go kill a moose, and yeah, I do too. But,
I would too. Want to go shoot moose?
Right.
Let's do that.
but I'd rather go mountain lion hunting. Like, I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
And someone else could be like, I'd never shoot a mountain lion.
Yep.
Everyone's different. And it's funny how different animals trip a trigger in someone.
Right. I think it changes throughout years too.
Oh yeah.
I used to be huge into goose hunting and pheasant, and I barely even do it now. You find your other interests, it's hard to pick them all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you guys do it.
Whatever's available that weekend.
But again, you use a lot of your stuff for food too,
Oh yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. There's more than just the sport behind it. You're looking to try to fill some freezers and...
Yeah, we've created a monster. Like, so, where was I? I can't remember where I was. Maybe I was even hunting. I was hunting. I was the day I shot my bobcat. I was bobcat hunting, and I had taken out turkey to thaw, and I was going to make turkey on the grill when I got home. And I get home, and Tate's like, look what I got for the grill. And he opens up we have a bait fridge, and we keep dead animals in there before we clean them to keep them fresh, and opens the fridge, and he's like, got a squirrel for us to grill up.
That was Tate?
Yeah.
How did he get the squirrel?
He shot it.
Tate, you shot the squirrel?
Yep.
He shoots a lot of squirrels. But
What'd you shoot him with?
Pellet gun.
Pellet gun. Nice job.
I mean, I'm not home.
Yeah. Where'd you put it?
In the fridge.
And I get home, and he's like, yeah, we're grilling this up. You know, like, he loves grilled squirrel, and...
Isn't that a cool feeling, coming home, and your kids got
Dinner.
food?
Yeah.
So, I'll never forget this one. And I'm scared that he will, because he's young enough. But I'll try not to let him. But I remember I was working night shift. So, I'm home during the day. And I go outside, and I was doing stuff outside, and I look on the roof, and there's a pigeon. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, we've never had a pigeon in our yard before. And I go inside, and I take a nap, and then I go to work that night, and I get a text message, and it's Tate holding a double-banded pigeon.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
So he like got home from school, he sees this pigeon, he goes and shoots it, and it's double-banded. And I'm like, oh, that's the pigeon that was hanging around all day. And I've never shot a banded pigeon in my life, and he comes home and shoots a double-banded one.
What did you think when you shot that?
Nervous.
Did you know that it was double banded?
Well, I saw the bands on his feet. I didn't know what they were
Did you see the bands before you shot it or after?
before.
Before? So you had your eyeball on them, like, I'm going to get that banded bird up there.
I just didn't know what it was.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know.
You just knew it was a critter and it needed to go down. Yeah. So, I mean, from your guys' relationship and how you've kind of blossomed your interests together, and some of them together, some not, but you've been able to find your common ground and what makes you happy on the hunting end of it. How did you kind of get the kids in, how do you introduce the kids into it? Is there a right way, wrong way? I mean, Tate, do you like to hunt?
Uh-huh.
Yeah? Is it what is that, like one of your favorite things to do, or what is your favorite thing to do?
Probably play soccer.
Soccer is your number one?
Mhm.
What's second?
Hunting or fishing, probably.
Yeah. How about you, Nora? Do you like the hunting, fishing stuff, or what's your favorite thing? Like,
Dancing or singing.
are you a dancer?
No. She wants to.
Yeah. I'm looking to get my daughter into that too. Dancing.
There's like a waiting list here.
Yeah.
Is there?
So there's a lot of dancers.
Is it just for kicks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Are you gonna do it? Yeah.
She's still on the waiting list.
What's your favorite thing to hunt?
Turkey.
Why?
Because it's really good.
It's her favorite thing to eat.
You love the taste of it, of turkey.
Wild
How did
turkey.
you make it?
Wild turkey.
How is it? Do you know how it's made, or is it like a full turkey? Is it turkey jerky?
I know what that means.
I grill it up.
How do the full turkey?
It depends. I mean, I think we've done one full turkey, but usually just breast them and take the leg meat
Sure.
and just throw it on the pellet grill, and that is her favorite meal. And she shot her first turkey this past spring, and
How old are you?
7.
You're 7. So let's say your dad and mom never turkey hunted. Do you think you would ever have found turkey hunting?
Probably not. No.
So you wouldn't have never known how good turkey was, wild turkey. So then how did you guys on your end get them? Is there a right way to go about getting kids involved? Or is it just kind of they see you both doing it and it just naturally grows? Or
I don't know what happened. Did we make you? Well, you've been grouse hunting since you were a baby. We'd throw you in the car and go.
Remember going grouse hunting when I was in daycare?
Really?
Pick me up from daycare and I don't know.
you'd head on out? So that's some of your earliest memories? Is that?
Basically.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Tate was born in September. That year, I think. So he was born September 5th, and I think that year grouse opened on maybe like the 12th or something like that.
Sure.
And he was out opening day
Yep.
in the car seat. And it was like do you remember that? It was like having a new bird dog, a pup. Like, I hope he's not gun shy. And he slept right through the gunshots, and I'm like, I'll keep him.
Maybe. For now. You get the pass free card.
I think just taking them along and them seeing our enjoyment in it kind of solidified, to a large extent, kids take after their parents. And I mean, if I'm out in the woods with him and I pull up the gun on a woodcock and it drops and he sees the dog retrieve it and maybe retrieves it to him, and I've got a huge smile on my face, it gives him that instant reward and gratification and feeling of joy that he doesn't even realize exists.
Yep. Was there anything that you learned from learning how to hunt from Matt and Sam that you're able to take towards the kids?
Well, I was just thinking because I got to take him deer hunting for his first time this fall. And I guess my big thing with him was I think he was used to instant gratification. Every time he would get to go hunting with Matt, he always was rewarded with a dead critter. And we had to actually hunt. We got up in the morning, we sat at night, got up in the morning again. Like he had to actually work for it.
It was just the two of you.
Right.
Phone call.
Interrupting.
That's all right.
So I don't
You
know.
can take it if you need to. What's for you? So you've hunted with your dad and your mom. Is there a difference with hunting one or the other on your end that you notice?
Why don't you talk about our turkey experience?
Me and you? I don't really remember that.
You don't really remember it, or you don't want to talk about it because it was so horrible?
Not really remember. Although it was very horrible. I remember that much. There's not much of a difference, aside from one's a boy, one's a girl.
Yeah, sure. What was the turkey experience?
Well, he complained of having to sit with me because the turkeys all went to them.
Oh, so it was you and Nora
Yeah.
sitting together, and you two were sitting together? Okay.
And he told Matt, I don't want to sit with Mom anymore.
So there becomes a favorites game a little bit. Whoever the birds are going to, that's the best one to be sitting with.
I think it was good for him though, because he hunted with me the first few years, and it was like call, gobble gobble, bang, woohoo.
Right?
So there was that instant gratification. Like, Dad calls in a turkey, I got to shoot it. He makes me look good with pictures, and then he goes with Nikki, and he has to go through it. You and I have gone through it many times. We've gone through it together.
Yep.
Where you're calling and they're gobbling, but they just will not cooperate. And I think it was really good for him to have that humbling, okay, this isn't as easy as I thought type moment.
Yep.
And I think that prepared him for deer hunting because he was super patient. I was very proud of both of them. I mean, I'm not that patient.
Yeah. I get antsy. I want
Nora and I belong together in a blind. Because we're both like, okay, let's move.
Yep. Let's move, Dad.
Right. We don't want to sit still for that long.
That's me in fishing. Last time we went fishing.
What's that? You like to move? Yeah.
I couldn't find a good hole. And then finally, I find one. And it's the same one I was in at first.
I'm
Go
the,
to every other one and then come back, and there it is.
yeah. It's tough. You guys had an experience, the three of you recently, right? You guys were out and about, and was it you were calling for coyotes?
Yep.
What was the scoop with that?
Well, it was really interesting because Tate and I, we've gone calling quite a few times. And Nora, do you remember what you said? Said, why don't I ever get to go calling?
Oh yeah.
So-
No, I said, why don't you ever ask me if I want to go calling?
Yeah, so I said, throw on your boots and throw on your gear. You're welcome to come anytime. You just don't get to shoot, you know. So she throws on her gear. So this is her first time ever going. And
Is it nighttime? Daytime?
daytime,
Day.
Okay.
evening, like we like to call coyotes in that last hour.
Sure.
And we set up on a slough edge, and we called for 18 minutes and 39 seconds. And I looked down at the call and switched it over, and I looked to my right, and Tate looked to the left, and when a 10-year-old knows that it's a wolf and not a coyote, you know it's big. And I'm like, no, it's a coyote, you know, trying to calm everybody down, and then...
I was still.
You knew.
And then Tate knew better.
You knew right away.
Well, at first, and then he starts to say that, and then I'm still.
But we had a little talk about it after we got home on what the right thing to do in that moment was, because all I could think of was, okay, there's a wolf and it's coming at us, and now it's stopped at 30.
Coming into the call.
Yeah,
It was your call out a ways?
Yes.
call was like 60 yards in front of us,
Yep.
and the wolf came from our left, kind of behind us, so it came past us at an angle toward the call, and it stopped at 39 yards. And all I could think is, I've got a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and I possibly have a wolf pack surrounding me. So I fired off 4 shots in its direction to get it out of there.
Yep.
And then I think the kids figured out the gig was up when I'm like, do not leave my heels. Like, stay very close together. And then we
I
get...
still don't think she.
What was your reaction with all? Did you know what was going on, or were you kind of just along for the ride and something was weird going on?
She never got to see it.
No.
You never saw it
Not even.
I only saw a buffy tail.
Not even.
running away?
No, I only saw a buffy tail.
Oh, the tail. Okay,
She never even got to see the big paw print that it had.
sure.
But yeah, when we left, that wolf had come in on our tracks
Yep.
and then wide off right before it got to the swamp. So it walked on our tracks. So I'm walking up and I'm like, okay, get closer, guys. And we get back to the truck, and then we had to have a discussion on, like I said, whether it was the right thing to do to try to ease things, or, you know, and I don't know what the answer is, because I've never had a 7 and 10-year-old with a wolf 39 yards away.
Right.
So my instinct is keep everybody calm, get the wolf out of here, and then we go.
Yep.
And then I'll explain it in the truck.
Did your dad do a good job of that?
Explaining?
Did you feel calm, or were you kind of scared?
When?
Like when he shot and said it was a coyote, and then you guys were walking back. Did it bother you at all, or were you just like, oh, okay?
Were
I
you?
thought it was a coyote. Because you said it was.
That was the goal.
So Dad lied, but I think it was a good one.
He was mad at me. Tate was mad at me for lying.
Yeah, I would have been more happy if I would have known. Because then he made me nervous because he said it was a coyote, yet its tracks were that big.
So I made him question himself.
You were confused a little bit of what are you talking about, Dad? I've been following your footsteps for 5 years. I know identification.
But Tate got a cool experience this year too. that was probably another one that a lot of parents would question. Even Nikki was a little mad at me, but I took Tate out of school and he got to shoot his first coyote. And then
That was this year?
yeah.
Nice.
And I texted Nikki and said, I took our son out of school and he shot his first coyote. And she's like, what?
You're upset for taking out of school?
Yeah, I don't believe in. Your kid goes to school.
It was lunchtime. What's wrong with that? I had my own lunch.
See, I'd have to say I have a philosophy that's opposite. If I'm going to take my kid out and go spend some good quality time with him, to me, that almost is more valuable than sitting in school. But not on a, it's more of a treat, right?
Yeah.
Once here, once there, pick them up surprisingly, and hey, we're heading out. Oh, now if you did it like every day, then
Right.
that's my personal feeling on it. But there's the guilty conscience in me, like, you want kids need to do good in school and put your time in, and
Well, I think his first text was just, I took our kid out of school, and I'm like, thinking, you don't just do that. That's not appropriate. I don't believe in that.
That's my kid. I take him out of school when I want.
And then I got the picture of him holding it.
But I think, so, I'm with you. Like, I think if the teacher were to give me the 4 hours, what he would have learned in those 4 hours, and then I stacked up a list of what I think he learned with me in those 4 hours, I think mine far outweighs what he learned in the 4 hours with me that day versus what he would have learned at school that day. I think there's a big difference. Teaching is over time. You've got a whole year to learn certain things.
right.
And I packed in a bunch of stuff into 4 hours. So
At least that's our hunter's mindset. We maybe could get a teacher on. We could have a good
I'll justify
debate.
it that way all day long.
Cool. Well, that was a pretty cool experience. So that was your first coyote. Yep. Did you like doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You want to do that again?
Mm-hmm.
How did it come right into you?
It was in the trap.
Oh, it was a trap? You guys are doing trap line?
Yeah. And Nora got her first fox trapped this year.
Really? How do you like trapping compared to hunting? Would you prefer one or the other?
Probably hunting.
Hunting.
Yeah. I saw you just got was that a bobcat or a lynx?
Bobcat.
Is it the same thing?
No.
No.
Completely different. Bobcat and lynx.
Mhm.
Okay. So it was a bobcat.
Yep.
And that was just this last week, right?
Yep.
The big one? Small one?
Very,
Big.
very big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest you've seen?
Biggest I've seen, biggest I've shot or caught, or we've got a few over the years, and this is by far the largest that I've gotten. I was at the taxidermist today trying to figure out a mount, and there's only two forms that are big enough for the cat, so I don't really have a choice on how to mount it. I only have two choices, so.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, that's stuff like that is kind of. We've joked around before. Just another day at the Brewer household. Like,
Yep.
we ate a squirrel today, and we ate a crane today, and
Well, it sounds like you're setting up perfect experiences to help the growth of it all. And I know for me, like, as I gotten Carter involved, and now I'm trying to focus on trying to get Grace, a little taste of it. I feel like it needs to be almost ideal situations. Weather's nice. You're going to see something, or obviously that's not reality, but as I'm going about it, I'm waiting, like, even for trying to get Jess involved, making every step that I can to make sure it's positive. And I don't know if you've taken a lot of precautions at that end of it, or is it just, we just got to get outside. We just got to go.
I think you always hope to have the opportunities, and maybe we did that at first, but we've been doing it so much and for so long that I don't really remember. But I think the inclement weather days and cold feet and miserable days, I mean, the kids have been out in them. We got stuck in a blizzard out on the lake once, and I mean, you can't shelter them and make every experience peachy.
True.
Otherwise, when they go off on their own, they're going to be like, hey, my dad said this is easy all the time.
Yep.
But I think at first, what you say? At first you try to make it rewarding and
Positive.
successful.
Mm-hmm. And now we say, you don't know by sitting on the couch. Right?
Go outside and play.
Mushrooms aren't going to pick themselves.
Have you ever, Tate, had like a hunt or a memory where it's like, I did not enjoy that. That wasn't fun.
Not really.
Sometimes you get caught by bad weather. I remember there was a time I was on Mille Lacs with my dad,
Oh,
and there was bad weather coming. I remember that was like a scary, like, no, let's not do that again.
fishing one. We were taking the snowmobile. Our dad drove across the road. He was going up this hill. It's and there's like 5 people on it or so, and we're going up this hill. It's like starting to tip, and I dive off right away, and then the whole thing falls.
No one got hurt?
Yeah,
Her leg was stuck under.
yeah,
Or somebody's.
mine.
Nora's just,
Yeah,
and then
I was the casualty.
He used his
You were
legs to
fine. We fished all day.
But Daddy always said, you can't tip a bearcat. And we proved him wrong, didn't
Yep.
we?
This is a glowing advertisement for Arctic Cat and my guide service.
You know what, though? It shows that, well, the positive thing, no one got hurt. And that's probably a memory that you both will have till you're 90. Remember that time when Dad tipped the snowmobile? Yeah, I do. But things happen. I mean, I was out one time driving across Briggs Lake. It was 8 inches of ice. We drove across with a 4-wheeler the day prior. Went out there the second day, going across the same tracks. 4-wheeler hits the water on a snowbank, and our trailer goes in. Scary, extremely scary situation. The 4-wheeler stayed on top. But, you know, you look at your dad, and you're always like, you got so much trust, or in your parent, that, yeah, this is good. And then that happens, you're like, whoa, wow. It's just part of kind of the excitement of being outdoors and the adventure, and you don't know, you know, a wolf coming in, the unknown of what's going to happen. So it's pretty cool to hear. If you got any more stories on your dad, we can fire away.
Well, I can think of a few like mushroom picking deadlines where, okay, we need 20 pounds for a restaurant by 6 p.m. All hands on deck. 50 million biting flies and 8,000 mosquitoes. Kids crying. Keep picking. No, then we send them back to the car. But there's been some pretty miserable days. How about the time we got lost?
Mushroom picking?
Yes. That was a bad experience for me. And I know it was a bad experience for him because he cried for like 2 hours straight.
That'll happen.
And he's maybe...
Thanks a lot, Dad.
Are you old enough? Or were you old enough? Do you remember that day? Or not?
I don't remember how old I was.
But do you remember that day much or... Okay. Yeah, I got turned around and my cell service wasn't working.
Oh.
And I couldn't pull up Google Maps to figure out where I was. And the mosquitoes...
Around here, unknown
Yeah.
territory.
On territory, in a spot I've picked mushrooms for years and years and years and years, and I have no idea. We had good picking and got turned around. It can happen to anybody, and we rely so much on our electronics now. And I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, I'll get us back to the road. And I look at my phone, and I'm like, we're nowhere.
Yep.
And I start walking, and I keep walking and walking and walking and walking, and just paralleling the road. And he's crying, and I'm like, oh, it's fine, we're just taking a detour, you know, trying to...
Play it off like, yeah, Daddy's got this covered.
Yeah. And then finally I squared up with him, and I'm like, we're lost.
Yep.
And he's already crying because of the mosquitoes, and then he's really crying. And I'm like, hop on my back, we're going this way, and I dropped a hat in a tree. And I went, and I looked back at the hat, and I go, and I look back at the hat. And then all of a sudden, my phone dinged. I think I got a message from someone on Messenger or something. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh,
Hallelujah.
right here is where we're stopping. And turns out I was like 70 yards off the road, just walking parallel,
Yep.
like 2 miles from the truck.
Yeah.
That was a, oh my gosh, I'm a bad dad.
It's not a good feeling, especially if you have a kid with.
Oh, and he was
If it was just you, it might be, it's scary, but
he was like 2.
sure.
I mean, he was little. 3, maybe. But I don't know, I think.
Well,
Can you think of any? You got a smile on your face.
I was thinking.
She's
of
like, I got a ton of
snake.
them.
The snake.
The time we were picking and that garter snake or whatever.
Oh,
And he stood up on the steps of the deer stand.
yeah.
And
There's a
cried.
stand right
He
by
wouldn't get down.
That's right.
Brought me up there, and I was like, ah.
They chased you up the tree stand? Darn snakes. I hate snakes.
I like gardener snakes.
Can you manage snakes? Or does it bother you?
If I had one
Well,
of
I mean,
Oh,
I'm
I'd be a
huge
baby.
fan.
I'm a
if I had
wimp.
one of
Do you like snakes? Yeah, I don't
I do if I have them as a pet, but I feel like ones that are out in the wild, I'm like,
Yeah,
adios.
exactly. They give me the heebie-jeebies.
Can you think of any bad experiences? That's a good sign.
From hunting or fishing.
Silence that long is a good sign, right?
You gotta think hard on that.
From hunting or fishing.
Or she's thinking, I don't know if I can say this one.
We've been out on some bad waves, but the kids think that's fun.
I always thought that was fun.
Wow.
Right?
You know, you're in a 3-footer and
Oh.
the kids are like, wee, and you're like, oh.
I didn't really like that time that we were picking mushrooms with the birches. There were so
Oh.
many mosquitoes.
Wait,
That is miserable. Mosquitoes.
Just
I hate mosquitoes.
That can wreck a good time.
Well,
Easy.
They give you
Mhm.
some bites in the worst spots.
I was just thinking, I kind of got sidetracked in my mind, which happens a lot, but I was thinking of like recruitment. So like once Nikki started hunting, then she had some other friends that started hunting, and it's kind of a snowball effect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tate, he had a friend over, and I can't remember if it was I think he was just over for the day, and I had to go check on renters in the fish house, in one of the fish houses, and I called the mom and said, I've got the kids, and I think Nikki was in town grocery shopping or something, and I had to go check on clients, and I called the mom and said, do you mind if he comes out onto the lake? And we went out, and we actually went fishing, and that was his first time ice fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he got a hat.
Everybody gets a hat.
Yeah.
But now I think he fishes a fair amount, right? At their cabin and stuff.
Yep. Just that one trip.
Stuff like that's really cool.
Yep. What time do you guys go to bed?
Normally around 9,
Around 9.
8:20.
Well, we'll start to wrap it up and we'll close it out. Let's go around. What's one piece of advice? Let's say if you're talking to a buddy at school, what's one piece of advice that you'd give them to try to get involved in the outdoors?
Oh, that's hard.
You can think about it for a little bit. Or if Nikki or Matt or Nora, we'll go around the table, and if you got a piece of advice of why you should get involved, or if you got a personal experience that you think somebody needs to hear of why they should go, experience the outdoors, because I guess there's a lot of people out there that don't do it and they're not aware of it.
You do get a good reward.
What's that?
Dinner tastes very good.
Very true. There you go. Tate's got dinner. You get a good reward. You got food after you're out hunting or fishing. You get something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So here's one thought. Speaking of food, and we drove by the Malacca Pantry the other day, and it was lined up with people outside. And it hits you, especially this time of year. You're like, geez, you don't know how good we got it to have what we got. And then you see somebody that doesn't have food. I wonder if there's like a hunting program you can come up with to see whoever is in that point in their life where they need to go to the pantries to get food, where if there's people that are interested to hunt, that people like us or whatnot could find those people, take them out, show them, all right, we're going to go hunting, and if you do get something, we got the capabilities to package it. Here you go, here's your deer for the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would fly or not, but that was just a thought when you mentioned the reward of it. I was trying to think of something, how you can like, you always want to give back, or you go to the place of hopes and make a meal, but sometimes would it give you more long-term value to go show them how to get a meal?
Sure.
But then you're handing over guns, and there could be some legality side of it. Well, maybe not.
Fishing would be easier. Especially in the summer. I mean, anyone can walk down to a bridge, and if you're not an elitist on what you eat, you can catch fish that you can take home and eat over an open flame. I mean, it's so easy to live off of fish.
Right.
I mean, you can catch
It's healthy for you.
Yeah, you can catch them anywhere. I mean, pick a shoreline. If you get enough little sunfish, you're going to make a meal. We're all into this, like, it has to be this size to eat. Well, no, it doesn't. I can eat a 4-inch bluegill. I guarantee it.
Yep. It's going to be like a chip.
Yeah.
It's going to taste good.
I guarantee I can make it into food.
Right. It's true. I mean, really, if you think about all the little lakes that catch little fish, but if you were just looking for a meal for the night, you go through 10 minutes, and you got a meal.
Well, just think about this. So, I know we're getting sidetracked again, but let's say I want to take my family out for fish.
Yep.
To a restaurant. We're looking at like $80.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so my kids fish free under Minnesota. They don't need a license. My license is whatever. Nikki's license is whatever. You know, we buy so many licenses, I don't even know what they cost anymore. But let's just say Nikki and I have, let's just even it out and say $80. Let's say we have $80 invested. Well, bluegills, we can have 80 of them. You know how long we can eat on 80 bluegills?
Yep.
And for the same price? I mean, that's meal after meal after meal after meal after meal. So you think about it in terms of food, which we do a lot. You know, we try to eat everything. We don't buy beef. Don't buy chicken very often. You think of it in those terms, there's some really good long-term value with food. So he's got a good point.
That is a very good point. Yep. Nikki, do you have anything, or Matt, to close on of final thoughts of just getting outdoors?
Go ahead, dear.
Nikki's shaking her head like, this podcast thing.
Well, for me, I've said this a million times and I've written about it a million times, but for me, when I was a kid, if I wanted to spend time with my dad, like, I had to go hunting or fishing. Like, if I wanted to be with my dad, I had to be on the lake or in the woods.
Yep.
And that most of my memories with my old man are there. They're in the woods, out in the open. I don't have a memory of my dad and I playing Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo. I don't have a memory of us watching a movie.
Yep.
You know, I have memories of us playing catch, but again, that's outdoors. You don't make memories inside.
Right.
So getting outside is key, and I think it's so good family-wise. Like, I'm racking my brain trying to think of a single memory with my old man inside, and I can't think of one.
Sure.
So
there's lots of them. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, not inside, outside.
Lots of
outside, not
Yeah.
inside.
She's my little follower, so, and I think she's in the similar situation that I was in with my old man. Like, I was going to the taxidermist yesterday, and I yell in, I'm going to the taxidermist, anybody want to come with? And she sees that as an opportunity to be with Dad. Nobody wants to go sit in a stinky taxidermy shop. She just wanted to hang out.
Anything on your end, Nikki? For a fellow coworker, gal that you know that isn't a hunter, fisherman, of why they should go try it?
Well, I think I kind of did that with Catherine. Like, she saw that I was starting to get more into hunting, and then she wanted to start coming with.
Do you think that for all hunters, none of us can really explain it?
It's tough. It's very tough.
It's just
Because Well, like when you're and that's the one thing on our end, or at least when we're putting out content, trying to make it not geared so much towards hunters. I mean, a lot of it is, but moving forward, trying to create content that's appealing to non-hunters, just because they're the ones that ultimately, I mean, if you hunt or fish, the stuff that we put out, you're gonna like it.
Mm-hmm.
But to the people that are non-hunters, it's like, all right, how can we create the content and the image of it that's gonna make you interested to want to go do it? Because I know, for like Jess, she sees the video of us with a bear hunt, and that's an immediate turnoff for her. It just sits in her place, like, you know, media or TV and movie and Hollywood has created images of a bear. Mm-hmm. Bear, you know, yeah. It's a childhood thing that you grew up with. So I think that, you know, there's stumbling blocks where it's, and like we even mentioned on that video with the bear, you know, caution, what you're about to see can be disturbing for some. Yeah. But it's trying to create the atmosphere of more inviting, that it's not kind of back to the, you know, with ladies getting involved with the outdoors. It's not a, you know, no women allowed or no non-hunters allowed type deal. It's who can we kind of rub off on it a little bit.
And I'm sure it's very hard for, I mean, you know, I do a lot of promotions and stuff too, and it's very difficult to express that feeling, like that like 5:45 a.m. when the turkeys start gobbling and the frogs are going nuts and the sun is just starting to crest, and like, how do you put that into words?
Can't. You're right.
You can't.
You just got to go do it.
Yeah.
At least once, and not even bring a gun out with you.
Oh.
Just to sit out in the woods is enjoyable. Like to your point, just being alone.
Mm-hmm.
We push making memories, and that's our big thing is let us help you make a memory. Like, I promise, you will remember this day. You won't remember sitting on the couch, watching Teen Mom, but you will remember the day you went fishing and you caught this or that, or you didn't catch anything and you got stormed on. You're gonna remember it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much to all you brewers for chatting. If anyone's listening and they got questions on how to get involved or just direction in general when it comes to hunting or fishing, reach out to Matt or Nikki. Or no, Nikki said no, don't. Well, reach out maybe to one of them and they can help lead you to somebody that you could talk to if you got questions. And again, in regards to the ice, stay safe, double check what's going on, triple check if you need to, and if you can try to influence someone to get involved with the outdoors, try to jump on the opportunity if you can. Anything else?
It's kind of fun remembering some of this stuff, huh?
Do you know what a podcast is?
Kind of.
I don't. I think we just did one. We just talk, just conversation.